2 Kings 23. Now the king sent them to gather all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem to him. And the king sent, and they gathered unto him all the elders of Judah and of Jerusalem. The king went up to the house of the Lord with all the men of Judah, and with him all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the priests and the prophets and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant which had been found in the house of the Lord. And the king went up into the house of the Lord, and all the men of Judah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests, and the prophets, and all the people, both small and great, and he read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant which was found in the house of the Lord. Then the king stood by a pillar and made a covenant before the Lord, to follow the Lord and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes, with all his heart and all his soul, to perform the words of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people took a stand for the covenant. And the king stood by a pillar, and made a covenant before the Lord, to walk after the Lord, and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes with all their heart and all their soul, to perform the words of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people stood to the covenant. And the king commanded Hilkiah the high priest, the priests of the second order, and the doorkeepers, to bring out of the temple of the Lord all the articles that were made for Baal, for Asherah, and for all the host of heaven, and he burned them outside Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and carried their ashes to Bethel. And the king commanded Hilkiah the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the door, to bring forth out of the temple of the Lord all the vessels that were made for Baal, and for the grove, and for all the host of heaven, and he burned them without Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and carried the ashes of them unto Bethel. Then he removed the idolatrous priests whom the kings of Judah had ordained to burn incense on the high places in the cities of Judah and in the places all around Jerusalem, and those who burned incense to Baal, to the sun, to the moon, to the constellations, and to all the host of heaven. And he put down the idolatrous priests, whom the kings of Judah had ordained to burn incense in the high places in the cities of Judah, and in the places round about Jerusalem, them also that burned incense unto Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the host of heaven. And he brought out the wooden image from the house of the Lord, to the brook Kidron outside Jerusalem, burned it at the brook Kidron and ground it to ashes, and threw its ashes on the graves of the common people. And he brought out the grove from the house of the Lord, without Jerusalem, unto the brook Kidron, and burned it at the brook Kidron, and stamped it small to powder, and cast the powder thereof upon the graves of the children of the people. Then he tore down the ritual booths of the perverted persons that were in the house of the Lord, where the women wove hangings for the wooden image. And he brake down the houses of the Sodomites, that were by the house of the Lord, where the women wove hangings for the grove. And he brought all the priests from the cities of Judah, and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense, from Geba to Beersheba. Also he broke down the high places at the gates which were at the entrance of the gate of Joshua the governor of the city, which were to the left of the city gate. And he brought all the priests out of the cities of Judah, and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense, from Geba to Beersheba, and brake down the high places of the gates that were in the entering in of the gate of Joshua the governor of the city, which were on a man's left hand at the gate of the city. Nevertheless the priests of the high places did not come up to the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, but they ate unleavened bread among their brethren. Nevertheless the priests of the high places came not up to the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, but they did eat of the unleavened bread among their brethren. And he defiled Topheth, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, that no man might make his son or his daughter pass through the fire to Molech. And he defiled Topheth, which is in the valley of the children of Hinnom, that no man might make his son or his daughter to pass through the fire to Molech. Then he removed the horses that the kings of Judah had dedicated to the sun, at the entrance to the house of the Lord, by the chamber of Nathan-Melech, the officer who was in the court, and he burned the chariots of the sun with fire. And he took away the horses that the kings of Judah had given to the sun, at the entering in of the house of the Lord, by the chamber of Nathan-Melech the chamberlain, which was in the suburbs, and burned the chariots of the sun with fire. The altars that were on the roof, the upper chamber of Ahaz, which the kings of Judah had made, and the altars which Manasseh had made in the two courts of the house of the Lord, the king broke down and pulverized there, and threw their dust into the brook Kidron. And the altars that were on the top of the upper chamber of Ahaz, which the kings of Judah had made, and the altars which Manasseh had made in the two courts of the house of the Lord, did the king beat down, and break them down from thence, and cast the dust of them into the brook Kidron. Then the king defiled the high places that were east of Jerusalem, which were on the south of the Mount of Corruption, which Solomon king of Israel had built for Ashtoreth the abomination of the Sidonians, for Chemosh the abomination of the Moabites, and for Milcom the abomination of the people of Ammon. And the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the Mount of Corruption, which Solomon the king of Israel had builded for Ashtoreth the abomination of the Zidonians, and for Chemosh the abomination of the Moabites, and for Milcom the abomination of the children of Ammon, did the king defile. And he broke in pieces the sacred pillars and cut down the wooden images, and filled their places with the bones of men. And he brake in pieces the images, and cut down the groves, and filled their places with the bones of men. Moreover the altar that was at Bethel, and the high place which Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel sin, had made, both that altar and the high place he broke down, and he burned the high place and crushed it to powder, and burned the wooden image. Moreover the altar that was at Bethel, and the high place which Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, had made, both that altar and the high place he brake down, and burned the high place, and stamped it small to powder, and burned the grove. As Josiah turned, he saw the tombs that were there on the mountain. And he sent and took the bones out of the tombs and burned them on the altar, and defiled it according to the word of the Lord which the man of God proclaimed, who proclaimed these words. And as Josiah turned himself, he spied the sepulchres that were there in the mount, and sent, and took the bones out of the sepulchres, and burned them upon the altar, and polluted it, according to the word of the Lord which the man of God proclaimed, who proclaimed these words. Then he said, What gravestone is this that I see? So the men of the city told him, It is the tomb of the man of God who came from Judah and proclaimed these things which you have done against the altar of Bethel. Then he said, What title is that I see? And the men of the city told him, It is the sepulchre of the man of God, which came from Judah, and proclaimed these things that thou hast done against the altar of Bethel. And he said, Let him alone, let no one move his bones. So they let his bones alone, with the bones of the prophet who came from Samaria. And he said, Let him alone, let no man move his bones. So they let his bones alone, with the bones of the prophet that came out of Samaria. Now Josiah also took away all the shrines of the high places that were in the cities of Samaria, which the kings of Israel had made to provoke the Lord to anger, and he did to them according to all the deeds he had done in Bethel. And all the houses also of the high places that were in the cities of Samaria, which the kings of Israel had made to provoke the Lord to anger, Josiah took away, and did to them according to all the acts that he had done in Bethel. He executed all the priests of the high places who were there, on the altars, and burned men's bones on them, and he returned to Jerusalem. And he slew all the priests of the high places that were there upon the altars, and burned men's bones upon them, and returned to Jerusalem. Then the king commanded all the people, saying, Keep the Passover to the Lord your God, as it is written in this book of the covenant. And the king commanded all the people, saying, Keep the Passover unto the Lord your God, as it is written in the book of this covenant. Such a Passover surely had never been held since the days of the judges who judged Israel, nor in all the days of the kings of Israel and the kings of Judah. Surely there was not holden such a Passover from the days of the judges that judged Israel, nor in all the days of the kings of Israel, nor of the kings of Judah. But in the 18th year of King Josiah this Passover was held before the Lord in Jerusalem. But in the 18th year of King Josiah, wherein this Passover was holden to the Lord in Jerusalem. Moreover Josiah put away those who consulted mediums and spiritists, the household gods and idols, all the abominations that were seen in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem, that he might perform the words of the law which were written in the book that Hilkiah the priest found in the house of the Lord. Moreover the workers with familiar spirits, and the wizards, and the images, and the idols, and all the abominations that were spied in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem, did Josiah put away, that he might perform the words of the law which were written in the book that Hilkiah the priest found in the house of the Lord. Now before him there was no king like him, who turned to the Lord with all his heart, with all his soul, and with all his might, according to all the law of Moses, nor after him did any arise like him. And like unto him was there no king before him, that turned to the Lord with all his heart, and with all his soul, and with all his might, according to all the law of Moses, neither after him arose there any like him. Nevertheless the Lord did not turn from the fierceness of his great wrath, with which his anger was aroused against Judah, because of all the provocations with which Manasseh had provoked him. Notwithstanding the Lord turned not from the fierceness of his great wrath, wherewith his anger was kindled against Judah, because of all the provocations that Manasseh had provoked him withal. And the Lord said, I will also remove Judah from my sight, as I have removed Israel, and will cast off this city Jerusalem which I have chosen, and the house of which I said, my name shall be there. And the Lord said, I will remove Judah also out of my sight, as I have removed Israel, and will cast off this city Jerusalem which I have chosen, and the house of which I said, my name shall be there. Now the rest of the acts of Josiah, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? Now the rest of the acts of Josiah, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? In his days Pharaoh Necho king of Egypt went to the aid of the king of Assyria, to the river Euphrates, and King Josiah went against him. And Pharaoh Necho killed him at Megiddo when he confronted him. In his days Pharaoh Necho king of Egypt went up against the king of Assyria to the river Euphrates, and King Josiah went against him, and he slew him at Megiddo, when he had seen him. Then his servants moved his body in a chariot from Megiddo, brought him to Jerusalem, and buried him in his own tomb. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz the son of Josiah, anointed him, and made him king in his father's place. And his servants carried him in a chariot dead from Megiddo, and brought him to Jerusalem, and buried him in his own sepulchre. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz the son of Josiah, and anointed him, and made him king in his father's stead. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he became king, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hamutal the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. Now Pharaoh Necho put him in prison at Riblah in the land of Hamath, that he might not reign in Jerusalem, and he imposed on the land a tribute of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. And Pharaoh Necho put him in bands at Riblah in the land of Hamath, that he might not reign in Jerusalem, and put the land to a tribute of 100 talents of silver, and a talent of gold. Then Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim the son of Josiah king in place of his father Josiah, and changed his name to Jehoiakim. And Pharaoh took Jehoahaz and went to Egypt, and he died there. And Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim the son of Josiah king in the room of Josiah his father, and turned his name to Jehoiakim, and took Jehoahaz away, and he came to Egypt, and died there. So Jehoiakim gave the silver and gold to Pharaoh, but he taxed the land to give money according to the command of Pharaoh. He exacted the silver and gold from the people of the land, from every one according to his assessment, to give it to Pharaoh Necho. And Jehoiakim gave the silver and the gold to Pharaoh, but he taxed the land to give the money according to the commandment of Pharaoh. He exacted the silver and the gold of the people of the land, of every one according to his taxation, to give it unto Pharaoh Necho. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Zebudah the daughter of Pedaiah of Rumah. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zebudah, the daughter of Pedaiah of Rumah. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. 2 Kings 25. Now it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, on the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon and all his army came against Jerusalem and encamped against it, and they built a siege wall against it all around. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon came, he, and all his host, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and they built forts against it round about. So the city was besieged until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. And the city was besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah. By the 9th day of the 4th month the famine had become so severe in the city that there was no food for the people of the land. And on the 9th day of the 4th month the famine prevailed in the city, and there was no bread for the people of the land. Then the city wall was broken through, and all the men of war fled at night by way of the gate between two walls, which was by the king's garden, even though the Chaldeans were still encamped all around against the city. And the king went by way of the plain. And the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled by night by the way of the gate between two walls, which is by the king's garden. Now the Chaldees were against the city round about, and the king went the way toward the plain. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued the king, and they overtook him in the plains of Jericho. All his army was scattered from him. And the army of the Chaldees pursued after the king, and overtook him in the plains of Jericho, and all his army were scattered from him. So they took the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon at Riblah, and they pronounced judgment on him. So they took the king, and brought him up to the king of Babylon to Riblah, and they gave judgment upon him. Then they killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, put out the eyes of Zedekiah, bound him with bronze fetters, and took him to Babylon. And they slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and bound him with fetters of brass, and carried him to Babylon. And in the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, which was the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, Nebuzaradan the captain of the guard, a servant of the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem. And in the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, which is the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, a servant of the king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem. He burned the house of the Lord and the king's house, all the houses of Jerusalem, that is, all the houses of the great, he burned with fire. And he burnt the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and every great man's house burnt he with fire. And all the army of the Chaldeans who were with the captain of the guard broke down the walls of Jerusalem all around. And all the army of the Chaldees, that were with the captain of the guard, brake down the walls of Jerusalem round about. Then Nebuzaradan the captain of the guard carried away captive the rest of the people who remained in the city and the defectors who had deserted to the king of Babylon, with the rest of the multitude. Now the rest of the people that were left in the city, and the fugitives that fell away to the king of Babylon, with the remnant of the multitude, did Nebuzaradan the captain of the guard carry away. But the captain of the guard left some of the poor of the land as vinedressers and farmers. But the captain of the guard left of the poor of the land to be vinedressers and husbandmen. The bronze pillars that were in the house of the Lord, and the carts and the bronze sea that were in the house of the Lord, the Chaldeans broke in pieces, and carried their bronze to Babylon. And the pillars of brass that were in the house of the Lord, and the bases, and the brazen sea that was in the house of the Lord, did the Chaldees break in pieces, and carried the brass of them to Babylon. They also took away the pots, the shovels, the trimmers, the spoons, and all the bronze utensils with which the priests ministered. And the pots, and the shovels, and the snuffers, and the spoons, and all the vessels of brass wherewith they ministered, took they away. The fire pans and the basins, the things of solid gold and solid silver, the captain of the guard took away. And the fire pans, and the bowls, and such things as were of gold, in gold, and of silver, in silver, the captain of the guard took away. The 2 pillars, 1 sea, and the carts, which Solomon had made for the house of the Lord, the bronze of all these articles was beyond measure. The 2 pillars, 1 sea, and the bases which Solomon had made for the house of the Lord, the brass of all these vessels was without weight. The height of 1 pillar was 18 cubits, and the capital on it was of bronze. The height of the capital was 3 cubits, and the network and pomegranates all around the capital were all of bronze. The 2nd pillar was the same, with a network. The height of the 1 pillar was 18 cubits, and the chapiter upon it was brass, and the height of the chapiter 3 cubits, and the wreathen work, and pomegranates upon the chapiter round about, all of brass, and like unto these had the 2nd pillar with wreathen work. And the captain of the guard took Sariah the chief priest, Zephaniah the 2nd priest, and the 3 doorkeepers. And the captain of the guard took Sariah the chief priest, and Zephaniah the 2nd priest, and the 3 keepers of the door. He also took out of the city an officer who had charge of the men of war, 5 men of the king's close associates who were found in the city, the chief recruiting officer of the army, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land who were found in the city. And out of the city he took an officer that was set over the men of war, and 5 men of them that were in the king's presence, which were found in the city, and the principal scribe of the host, which mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land that were found in the city. So Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, took these and brought them to the king of Babylon at Riblah. And Nebuzaradan captain of the guard took these, and brought them to the king of Babylon to Riblah. Then the king of Babylon struck them and put them to death at Riblah in the land of Hamath. Thus Judah was carried away captive from its own land. And the king of Babylon smote them, and slew them at Riblah in the land of Hamath. So Judah was carried away out of their land. Then he made Gedaliah the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, governor over the people who remained in the land of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon had left. And as for the people that remained in the land of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon had left, even over them he made Gedaliah the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, ruler. Now when all the captains of the armies, they and their men, heard that the king of Babylon had made Gedaliah governor, they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah. Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, Johanan the son of Kareah, Seraiah the son of Tanhumeth the Netophathite, and Jazaniah the son of a Maacathite, they and their men. And when all the captains of the armies, they and their men, heard that the king of Babylon had made Gedaliah governor, there came to Gedaliah to Mizpah, even Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, and Johanan the son of Kareah, and Seraiah the son of Tanhumeth the Netophathite, and Jazaniah the son of a Maacathite, they and their men. And Gedaliah took an oath before them and their men, and said to them, Do not be afraid of the servants of the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you. And Gedaliah sware to them, and to their men, and said unto them, Fear not to be the servants of the Chaldees, dwell in the land, and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you. But it happened in the 7th month that Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, the son of Elishama, of the royal family, came with 10 men and struck and killed Gedaliah, the Jews, as well as the Chaldeans who were with him at Mizpah. But it came to pass in the 7th month, that Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, the son of Elishama, of the seed royal, came, and 10 men with him, and smote Gedaliah, that he died, and the Jews and the Chaldees that were with him at Mizpah. And all the people, small and great, and the captains of the armies, arose and went to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldeans. And all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the armies, arose, and came to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldees. Now it came to pass in the 37th year of the captivity of Jehoiakim king of Judah, in the 12th month, on the 27th day of the month, that Evil-Merodach king of Babylon, in the year that he began to reign, released Jehoiakim king of Judah from prison. And it came to pass in the 37th year of the captivity of Jehoiakim king of Judah, in the 12th month, on the 27th day of the month, that Evil-Merodach king of Babylon in the year that he began to reign did lift up the head of Jehoiakim king of Judah out of prison. He spoke kindly to him, and gave him a more prominent seat than those of the kings who were with him in Babylon. And he spake kindly to him, and set his throne above the throne of the kings that were with him in Babylon. So Jehoiakim changed from his prison garments, and he ate bread regularly before the king all the days of his life. And changed his prison garments, and he did eat bread continually before him all the days of his life. And as for his provisions, there was a regular ration given him by the king, a portion for each day, all the days of his life. And his allowance was a continual allowance given him of the king, a daily rate for every day, all the days of his life. Mark 14. After 2 days it was the Passover and the feast of unleavened bread. And the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might take him by trickery and put him to death. After 2 days was the feast of the Passover, and of unleavened bread, and the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might take him by craft, and put him to death. But they said, Not during the feast, lest there be an uproar of the people. But they said, Not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar of the people. And being in Bethany at the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at the table, a woman came having an alabaster flask of very costly oil of spikenard. Then she broke the flask and poured it on his head. And being in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at meat, there came a woman having an alabaster box of ointment of spikenard very precious, and she brake the box, and poured it on his head. But there were some who were indignant among themselves, and said, Why was this fragrant oil wasted? And there were some that had indignation within themselves, and said, Why was this waste of the ointment made? For it might have been sold for more than 300 denarii and given to the poor. And they criticized her sharply. For it might have been sold for more than 300 pence, and have been given to the poor. And they murmured against her. But Jesus said, Let her alone. Why do you trouble her? She has done a good work for me. And Jesus said, Let her alone, why trouble ye her? She hath wrought a good work on me. For you have the poor with you always, and whenever you wish you may do them good, but me you do not have always. For ye have the poor with you always, and whensoever ye will ye may do them good, but me ye have not always. She has done what she could. She is come beforehand to anoint my body for burial. She hath done what she could, she is come aforehand to anoint my body to the burying. Assuredly, I say to you, wherever this gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be told as a memorial to her. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached throughout the whole world, this also that she hath done shall be spoken of for a memorial of her. Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went to the chief priests to betray him to them. And Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went unto the chief priests, to betray him unto them. And when they heard it, they were glad, and promised to give him money. So he sought how he might conveniently betray him. And when they heard it, they were glad, and promised to give him money. And he sought how he might conveniently betray him. Now on the first day of unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover lamb, his disciples said to him, Where do you want us to go and prepare, that you may eat the Passover? And the first day of unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover, his disciples said unto him, Where wilt thou that we go and prepare that thou mayest eat the Passover? And he sent out 2 of his disciples and said to them, Go into the city, and a man will meet you carrying a pitcher of water, follow him. And he sendeth forth 2 of his disciples, and saith unto them, Go ye into the city, and there shall meet you a man bearing a pitcher of water, follow him. Wherever he goes in, say to the master of the house, The teacher says, Where is the guest room in which I may eat the Passover with my disciples? And wheresoever he shall go in, say ye to the goodman of the house, The master saith, Where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples? Then he will show you a large upper room, furnished and prepared, there make ready for us. And he will shew you a large upper room furnished and prepared, there make ready for us. So his disciples went out, and came into the city, and found it just as he had said to them, and they prepared the Passover. And his disciples went forth, and came into the city, and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover. In the evening he came with the 12. And in the evening he cometh with the 12. Now as they sat and ate, Jesus said, Assuredly, I say to you, one of you who eats with me will betray me. And as they sat and did eat, Jesus said, Verily I say unto you, one of you which eateth with me shall betray me. And they began to be sorrowful, and to say to him one by one, Is it I? And another said, Is it I? And they began to be sorrowful, and to say unto him one by one, Is it I? And another said, Is it I? He answered and said to them, It is one of the 12, who dips with me in the dish. And he answered and said unto them, It is one of the 12, that dippeth with me in the dish. The Son of Man indeed goes just as it is written of him, but woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been good for that man if he had never been born. The Son of Man indeed goeth, as it is written of him, but woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. Good were it for that man if he had never been born. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread, blessed and broke it, and gave it to them and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And as they did eat, Jesus took bread, and blessed, and brake it, and gave to them, and said, Take, eat, this is my body. Then he took the cup, and when he had given thanks he gave it to them, and they all drank from it. And he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank of it. And he said to them, This is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many. And he said unto them, This is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many. Assuredly, I say to you, I will no longer drink of the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new in the kingdom of God. Verily I say unto you, I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine, until that day that I drink it new in the kingdom of God. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. And when they had sung an hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Then Jesus said to them, All of you will be made to stumble because of me this night, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. And Jesus saith unto them, All ye shall be offended because of me this night, for it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered. But after I have been raised, I will go before you to Galilee. But after that I am risen, I will go before you into Galilee. Peter said to him, Even if all are made to stumble, yet I will not be. But Peter said unto him, Although all shall be offended, yet will not I. Jesus said to him, Assuredly, I say to you that today, even this night, before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. And Jesus saith unto him, Verily I say unto thee, that this day, even in this night, before the cock crow twice, thou shalt deny me thrice. But he spoke more vehemently, If I have to die with you, I will not deny you. And they all said likewise. But he spake the more vehemently, If I should die with thee, I will not deny thee in any wise. Likewise also said they all. Then they came to a place which was named Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, Sit here while I pray. And they came to a place which was named Gethsemane, and he saith to his disciples, Sit ye here, while I shall pray. And he took Peter, James, and John with him, and he began to be troubled and deeply distressed. And he taketh with him Peter and James and John, and began to be sore amazed, and to be very heavy. Then he said to them, My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch. And saith unto them, My soul is exceeding sorrowful unto death, tarry ye here, and watch. He went a little farther, and fell on the ground, and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. And he went forward a little, and fell on the ground, and prayed that, if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. Take this cup away from me, nevertheless, not what I will, but what you will. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible unto thee, take away this cup from me, nevertheless not what I will, but what thou wilt. Then he came and found them sleeping, and said to Peter, Simon, are you sleeping? Could you not watch 1 hour? And he cometh, and findeth them sleeping, and saith unto Peter, Simon, sleepest thou? Couldest not thou watch 1 hour? Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Watch ye and pray, lest ye enter into temptation. The spirit truly is ready, but the flesh is weak. Again he went away and prayed, and spoke the same words. And again he went away, and prayed, and spake the same words. And when he returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy, and they did not know what to answer him. And when he returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy, neither wist they what to answer him. Then he came the 3rd time and said to them, Are you still sleeping and resting? It is enough. The hour has come, behold, the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. And he cometh the 3rd time, and saith unto them, Sleep on now, and take your rest, it is enough, the hour is come, behold, the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand. Rise up, let us go, lo, he that betrayeth me is at hand. And immediately, while he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, with a great multitude with swords and clubs, came from the chief priests and the scribes and the elders. And immediately, while he yet spake, cometh Judas, one of the 12, and with him a great multitude with swords and staves, from the chief priests and the scribes and the elders. Now his betrayer had given them a signal, saying, Whomever I kiss, he is the one, seize him and lead him away safely. And he that betrayed him had given them a token, saying, Whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he, take him, and lead him away safely. As soon as he had come, immediately he went up to him and said to him, Rabbi, Rabbi, and kissed him. And as soon as he was come, he goeth straightway to him, and saith, Master, Master, and kissed him. Then they laid their hands on him and took him. And they laid their hands on him and took him. And one of those who stood by drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest, and cut off his ear. And one of them that stood by drew a sword, and smote a servant of the high priest, and cut off his ear. Then Jesus answered and said to them, Have you come out, as against a robber, with swords and clubs to take me? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Are ye come out, as against a thief, with swords and with staves to take me? I was daily with you in the temple teaching, and you did not seize me. But the scriptures must be fulfilled. I was daily with you in the temple teaching, and you took me not, but the scriptures must be fulfilled. Then they all forsook him and fled. And they all forsook him and fled. Now a certain young man followed him, having a linen cloth thrown around his naked body. And the young man laid hold of him. And there followed him a certain young man, having a linen cloth cast about his naked body, and the young man laid hold on him. And he left the linen cloth and fled from them naked. And he left the linen cloth, and fled from them naked. And they led Jesus away to the high priest, and with him were assembled all the chief priests, the elders, and the scribes. And they led Jesus away to the high priest, and with him were assembled all the chief priests and the elders and the scribes. But Peter followed him at a distance, right into the courtyard of the high priest. And he sat with the servants and warmed himself at the fire. And Peter followed him afar off, even into the palace of the high priest, and he sat with the servants, and warmed himself at the fire. Now the chief priests and all the council sought testimony against Jesus to put him to death, but found none. And the chief priests and all the council sought for witness against Jesus to put him to death, and found none. For many bore false witness against him, but their testimonies did not agree. For many bare false witness against him, but their witness agreed not together. Then some rose up and bore false witness against him, saying. And there arose certain, and bare false witness against him, saying. We heard him say, I will destroy this temple made with hands, and within 3 days I will build another made without hands. We heard him say, I will destroy this temple that is made with hands, and within 3 days I will build another made without hands. But not even then did their testimony agree. But neither so did their witness agree together. And the high priest stood up in the midst and asked Jesus, saying, Do you answer nothing? What is it these men testify against you? And the high priest stood up in the midst, and asked Jesus, saying, Answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witness against thee? But he kept silent and answered nothing. Again the high priest asked him, saying to him, Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed? But he held his peace, and answered nothing. Again the high priest asked him, and said unto him, Art thou the Christ, the Son of the Blessed? Jesus said, I am. And you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power, and coming with the clouds of heaven. And Jesus said, I am, and ye shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, What further need do we have of witnesses? Then the high priest rent his clothes, and saith, What need we any further witnesses? You have heard the blasphemy. What do you think? And they all condemned him to be deserving of death. Ye have heard the blasphemy, what think ye? And they all condemned him to be guilty of death. Then some began to spit on him, and to blindfold him, and to beat him, and to say to him, Prophesy. And the officers struck him with the palms of their hands. And some began to spit on him, and to cover his face, and to buffet him, and to say unto him, Prophesy, and the servants did strike him with the palms of their hands. Now as Peter was below in the courtyard, one of the servant girls of the high priest came. And as Peter was beneath in the palace, there cometh one of the maids of the high priest. And when she saw Peter warming himself, she looked at him and said, You also were with Jesus of Nazareth. And when she saw Peter warming himself, she looked upon him, and said, And thou also wast with Jesus of Nazareth. But he denied it, saying, I neither know nor understand what you are saying. And he went out on the porch, and a rooster crowed. But he denied, saying, I know not, neither understand I what thou sayest. And he went out into the porch, and the cock crew. And the servant girls saw him again, and began to say to those who stood by, "This is one of them." And a maid saw him again, and began to say to them that stood by, "This is one of them." But he denied it again. And a little later those who stood by said to Peter again, "Surely you are one of them, for you are a Galilean, and your speech shows it." And he denied it again. And a little after, they that stood by said again to Peter, "Surely thou art one of them, for thou art a Galilean, and thy speech agreeth thereto." Then he began to curse and swear, "I do not know this man of whom you speak." But he began to curse and to swear, saying, "I know not this man of whom ye speak." A second time the rooster crowed. Then Peter called to mind the word that Jesus had said to him, "Before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. And when he thought about it, he wept. And the second time the cock crew. And Peter called to mind the word that Jesus said unto him, "Before the cock crow twice, thou shalt deny me thrice." And when he thought thereon, he wept. Proverbs 18. A man who isolates himself seeks his own desire, he rages against all wise judgment. Through desire a man, having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. A fool has no delight in understanding, but in expressing his own heart. A fool hath no delight in understanding, but that his heart may discover itself. When the wicked comes, contempt comes also, and with dishonor comes reproach. When the wicked cometh, then cometh also contempt, and with ignominy reproach. The words of a man's mouth are deep waters, the wellspring of wisdom is a flowing brook. The words of a man's mouth are as deep waters, and the wellspring of wisdom as a flowing brook. It is not good to show partiality to the wicked, or to overthrow the righteous in judgment. It is not good to accept the person of the wicked, to overthrow the righteous in judgment. A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calleth for strokes. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. He who is slothful in his work is a brother to him who is a great destroyer. He also that is slothful in his work is brother to him that is a great waster. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, the righteous run to it and are safe. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, the righteous runneth into it, and is safe. The rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall in his own esteem. The rich man's wealth is his strong city, and as an high wall in his own conceit. Before destruction the heart of a man is haughty, and before honor is humility. Before destruction the heart of man is haughty, and before honor is humility. He who answers a matter before he hears it, it is folly and shame to him. He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him. The spirit of a man will sustain him in sickness, but who can bear a broken spirit? The spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit who can bear? The heart of the prudent acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. The heart of the prudent getteth knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge. A man's gift makes room for him, and brings him before great men. A man's gift maketh room for him, and bringeth him before great men. The first one to plead his cause seems right, until his neighbor comes and examines him. He that is first in his own cause seemeth just, but his neighbor cometh and searcheth him. Casting lots causes contentions to cease, and keeps the mighty apart. The lot causeth contentions to cease, and parteth between the mighty. A brother offended is harder to win than a strong city, and contentions are like the bars of a castle. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle. A man's stomach shall be satisfied from the fruit of his mouth, from the produce of his lips he shall be filled. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. He who finds a wife finds a good thing, and obtains favor from the Lord. Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtaineth favor of the Lord. The poor man uses entreaties, but the rich answers roughly. The poor useth entreaties, but the rich answereth roughly. A man who has friends must himself be friendly, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. A man that hath friends must shew himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother.